Hello. So, welcome to my craft room. My name is Terry Phelps, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I live in Minnesota. So, gosh, it's Halloween tomorrow. Pretty fun. I've got my creepy, little spiderweb glow in the dark nails. So I'm all ready for tomorrow. Kind of funny story. I put those on and I um, freaked myself out. I went to sleep, woke up about a half hour later to get a drink of water, and my nails were glowing. It just freaked me out because I forgot that I actually had them on. I hear an echo, so I'm going to try to take that. I don't know. Hopefully you guys can't hear that. Um, so tonight, I'm going to do a demonstration on a card that I just kind of just played around and made. It's kind of funny where my brain goes sometimes. Um, I had was cleaning up my scrap room or my stamp room, and I found, a little piece of, paper like this, and I started playing with it, and I ended up, just scoring it every quarter inch. And I thought, wow, wait a minute. And then I took this scrap of paper and I was like, well, I could make little panels like that. So anyway, I was just kind of messing around with stuff. And for the last, I don't know, few weeks, I have a folder, a filing system kind of that has all my scrap pieces of cardstock. And I kept running into these card bases that I had for a gatefold card. And I don't normally have leftover um, bases. So, and it was kind of irritating me because I was going to use them. I thought originally I'll just use them as scrap and cut them all apart and whatnot. But I ended up going, wait a minute. My little playing around with the designer series paper and the card base, this might really work well together. So then I just was on a roll. So I created a bunch of cards, and they're simple, but I kind of like to make things that are simple while I'm showing. Keep in mind, when I show you these cards, you could totally take it to another level. But also, I want to show how you can make fun cards without having to do all that, right? So, I think what I'll do is I'll just start making one of my cards, and we'll go from there, and then I'll show you all the alternatives that I came up with after. So, I'm going to go down to my desktop here. All right. So, what I'm going to do is I'll give you all the instructions, not hard, and get that all taken care of here. So the card base is your 8.5 by 5.5, and it's scored at 1.5 and 5 3/4. Okay, so we're just going to take and cut that. All right, and then I'm going to score this at 1.5 and then again at 5 3/4. All right, so that's just your basic gatefold card. So that's that. And then we're going to take a 6x6 piece of designer series paper. Now what I mean by this, it's very simple, but depending on what your design is, you just want to make sure that your paper is, the design's horizontally correct. So on this one, I want my card to have this direction when I lay it out. So I'm going to turn it at this point, and I'm going to cut it to 5 1/4, the whole sheet. Okay, so I'll have this little piece that's left over, and then I'm going to flip it the direction that I want this to be, and then from the left side I'm going to cut it at 1 1/4, and then I'm going to move it over to the left, and I'm going to go to 3 3/4. So I will have a leftover scrap. So I'll have basically 2 leftover scraps. And then this is the way that we're going to use in our card layout. Okay. All right. And then we're also going to need a sentiment strip, and that will vary by whatever stamp you use. So this one, how I kind of determined that all the cards have different sentiments. So 1 inch will work for this, but I think I'm going to cut my strip to be like 1 1/4. Whoops. I'm going to go to 1 1/4. All right, and that is all there is to that. Now the let's see. So the rest of this we can use your trimmer if you have one, because it does have a scoring blade right in the track, right? But for this, I'm choosing to use our scoreboard. And if you've never seen this or don't realize that we have this, it is in the annual catalog. It kind of might be hiding, but it is on page 101, and you can see it here. So it's a simply scored scoring tool, and that's $37. But it's great because you can make all kinds of fun designs using this board, and it's quicker too than having to use like our trimmer, because you have to move your paper over and over, right, to do all your scoring. And in this case, I'm going to be scoring every 1/4 inch. So this tool will work a lot better. And I'm just kind of sanding off my edges so that they look a little cleaner. All right, and so remember, our paper is going to it's going to need to follow its original design. So that is how the paper goes, right? So I'm going to stick this in the corner, and this comes with your scoring tool and everything. And I'm just going to do a 1/4 inch all the way down. And you don't want to press too hard because this is designer series paper and you don't want to rip it. but it is going to have to be a good enough score so that, you know, it's going to be easy for you to bend. Ah, whoops. So Minnesota, it's been like 80 degrees, and of course tomorrow, because it's Halloween, it's going to be 30 degrees. Poor kids, you know, they don't get a break. So in that way, I don't know if you can actually see it too well, but I did do a score line every 1/4 inch. Okay, and that is all we need that for. So this is kind of putsy, but it's not hard. And actually, these nails help because they're pointy. So when I'm doing my corner, my folding, I am actually using my nails to help me do that crease. But I start in the middle because I get a better fold that way. As you start doing your folding, your paper is going to kind of make a curve, kind of, because it's piling on top of each other, each layer. So it kind of naturally towards the end will start curving. So I'm just going to do this all the way across. And you could certainly use your bone folder, and I will use that, you know, as I go, just to get these nice and crisp. We're just making a fan kind of thing. Somebody's watching. Hi. I don't always see comments, so welcome. Thank you for watching. So I'm just going to keep going back and forth. So it's kind of funny how, you know, when you start making stuff, you just start playing. It's kind of funny to me how things just will like all of a sudden come in view, and it'll be like, oh, that's perfect. I mean, that's what happened with these card bases. Once I started playing around with the designer series paper, I thought, well, I'll just make a card, but I'll just use this fanned paper. I'm just going to use that as the whole like focal point of the front of a card, right? And all of a sudden, when I was like, I kept running into these card bases, and it was just frustrating me, and it was just kind of funny. It's like all of a sudden I looked over there and I saw them, and I was like, hey, that actually is a good layout for this idea that I wasn't really sure exactly where I was going with doing this, but I was like, that's kind of funny. And I also create a lot with scraps. You know, I don't throw away a lot of scraps at all. And it's amazing how I've made whole projects out of just my little pile of things that I've cut, and I've got extra, or, you know, whatever. So it's kind of, don't throw stuff away. It's kind of funny how it works your way into a project. All right, so now we have that. So let's take our card base. And by the way, the paper that I am using, this is an online paper, and it's gorgeous paper. It is the Meandering Meadows. And this paper is also, like, this was one that we could do a card, and look at the beautiful, like, um, landscape. So once you see the card, I know you haven't seen what we're making yet, but you'd see how this would be very pretty too. And then the stamp set that I'm going to use for this one is Throughout the Year. And this is also an online exclusive. And so I'm just going to use the Happiest of Birthdays. The other cards that I've made, I've gone through a whole bunch of different bundles. But the fun thing is you don't need to have all of the stuff, right? So that's nice. I made these cards very, very simple because I just want, one, I was trying to see how it would look just making something really simple, right? And then I decided to just keep going that way without getting all the dies out and all that stuff. I just use basically paper and ink, and that's it. So I'm going to stretch this out, and this is going to go on this panel. Okay. So to glue this, it's kind of tricky. I had to figure out how am I going to make this so that it will stay on the card. So on this side, it starts out with a valley. So I have this, and so I decided to use this as where I'm going to start my glue. The other side, it's a mountain, right? So I don't have a whole lot to attach this with. So this was my decision, I guess. This is how I decided to do this. So after that I've done all the folds, I'm taking this last one and I am just loading it with tape. Now I'm using my silicone pad because if I go over the edge, that's just going to repel off the silicone and it's going to still stay where I want it. So that side's good. This side, I'm going to run this glue on the outside of the edge of this paper. So as you can see, it's on the edge, right? But it is not, it's not going anywhere out here because I used the silicone. So that's one great thing about using these pads. And then, so that's what I did for that piece. For the actual card, now I'm going to use, I have a little border, right? So I'm going to glue just on the area that I know the cards, the signer series paper is going to be. So I'm going to leave. And so, you know, because these are ridges, obviously you aren't going to be able to, adhere it like you normally would. So what I did is I'm just crossing. I'm kind of making a ladder, if you will, so that when these ridges, these hit, they'll have some place to land. Does that make sense? So that it kind of keeps the center part down. So I'm going to line this side up because this one's got the most glue. So I'm going to start with my border. And I'm going to give that a good... All right. And then I'm going to stretch this so that I'm going to have the same border. Now I've got glue that's on just the tip of this last edge here, right? So I'm just going to press that in. And then once that's positioned, then I'm going to press down gently. And so now you've got your panel and it's attached. I do have a little bit of glue that came out here. Always something. I've got my glue eraser and I'm trying to just get rid of some of that. Voila. All right. Although in doing that, I kind of squished this one panel. There we go. I did not have this problem, of course, when I was doing all the other ones. Let's get to get back on. We lost our little fan part. Okay, there we go, a little better. And I'm just going to stretch this back. And we're good. Okay. All right, so we have that part. And then I'm going to adhere the other side. And then remember your design. This was going to, in this particular design, it's not a actual like landscape or anything, but it's still, you can see that these are going to match, right? You don't want your pattern broken up. So I'm just going to attach that. Is everybody ready for Halloween? Oh, can't believe it. All right, let me see. Did I make sure I didn't mess up my pattern? Yeah, that one's right. Okay. So I'm just going to lay this. All right. All right, so this card I'm going to make a simple little birthday card. So I'm going to take my sentiment, and I think the color I'm going to use, because I don't use Melon Mambo very often, it's a bright cherry color, but I don't find myself using it too much. So because there is some Melon Mambo in this paper, I thought I'm going to use that as my color for my sentiment here. Got some air bubbles on my... All right, and so here is our little strip that we cut, and I cut it at 1.25 inches because my stamp is roughly about 1 inch, so I thought that'll give it plenty of space around it. Okay, I don't know that I like that birthdays kind of got blotchy, so I'm going to... It's white, so, and it's red. So I'm going to cut another piece of paper real quick. So I did this at 1 1/4. All right, hopefully. Maybe that was because that was maybe the first. Oh, I still got bubbles. Okay. All right. Well, we'll try it. This is a really juicy ink pad. I'm just kind of lining up my paper on here. That's better. Alrighty. So this is kind of how my thinking on this. So because this is a 1/4 inch high, you know, our little ridges. So I thought when I put this on, I'm not going to, I want it to kind of not be squishing this, and I don't want it to be sitting up here like, you know, rising. So I decided that I'm going to score a 1/4 inch on the side. So I'm going to kind of look to see where I want to put this, where I want the words to go. So I kind of, I guess I kind of like that. So with my hands, real scientific, I'm just going to kind of mark where I want to score. So I'm going to bring back my trimmer here, and I'm just going to, let's see, I'll go up here. So I'm going to score, where am I at here? It's like 1 inch. I'm going to do 1.25 inches. Okay, and then I'm going to go another inch. Now, I mean another 1/4 inch. So if I want this to go about here, yeah. So I'm going to go on this side of. Okay, so I'm going to just do that. All right. So I'm going to bend this at the score line. Now you don't have to do that, but I just kind of thought it made sense to have it lying on the card correctly. And so this will be here, this will be up, and I think I'm just going to cut this at an angle. Okay. So I'm just going to put this in my paper trimmer, and I'm going to cut it at an angle. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to put some adhesive on the back panel. Now you could do this several different ways. Like I said, all the cards that I made, they all have dies. They all have, you know, and I have really cute dies. I could have totally decked out all this with dies, but I just wanted to do this so that I just wanted to see what this would look like, being very simple. So I think I'm going to stick this right about here. And I'm just going to line up my score line on the back. Give that a good, nice push. All right. So that's sticking out in the back. I suppose if you really wanted to, you could put it behind this paper, but I think you get better stability this way. So then I thought, well, I can't have it just like that. So I'm going to take dimensionals, and I'm going to double up my dimensionals. So I'm going to take off one of the tops, and then I'm going to take one that's next to it, and I'm going to line it up. Okay, so now I got a double decker, and that gives me about a 1/4 inch. So I'm just going to stick this about there. And then I'm going to stick it down. Okay. Now, primarily because of time, because I just made these today. So I'm always pushing it, right? So you could, of course, put embellishments. I actually thought it'd be kind of fun. You could take and put twine and maybe do little beads hanging or something off of this. I think that would be kind of a fun little thing to do. And then, of course, you can decorate your inside any way you want. But yeah, so I thought how fun and simple. It was different. I don't know. I haven't seen anything like this before, but maybe you guys have. I don't know. It's new to me. I just was playing with paper, and so this is kind of what I came up with. So on that, I will show you the rest of these are, again, I'm just using paper and stamp sets and white paper. So I'm not using like a whole bunch of materials. And this will work with any designer series paper, whether, this was one that is just basically like a watercolor, right? So I think it's kind of stunning. I like it. This one I did with our, gosh, I can't remember what it's called, but this is in our catalog, our Winter Meadow, or not Winter Meadow, is it? But this is just the designer series paper, and this is just birds. And I just put a friend like you brings me happiness. So I think they're kind of, they're cool. They have a little dimension. Now I could also, of course, put, embellishments. We have butterflies, those brass butterflies you could kind of put, but that was one. Another one I did, this is using, for a guy, I thought this would be cool. This is the Airplane Designer Series paper. And it's like, you're the best. And here I just made these as, instead, with the little tails. So that was one example. Another one, this is designer series paper that carried over from last year. I love this paper. I just think it's so awesome. But I've got Sending Warmth Your Way. Here's another one with the same designer series paper. And this is Wishing You a Season of Cheer. This is in the, what's this one called? This is Regal Winter. This is their designer series paper for that. This is Sending Love Your Way. And this is also some designer series paper from that. Wishing I Were There to Give You a Hug. And then this is from the Autumn, Splendid Autumn. Thinking of You and How You Strengthen My Life. Isn't that gorgeous though, with the designer series paper? It just does everything for you, but it's got a nice little, I like the fact that it's, got this dimension to it. And then may the beauty of the season fill your heart with joy. Isn't that gorgeous? But this is just simple, and you can do this with any designer series paper. You can do this with just paper and stamps, and you can go all out. All of these have, dies, like for instance, whoops, You know, this is the Splendid Autumn, and this is the paper for this card and this one. And, you know, yeah, I could totally take and use the stamp set and the dies and make a label that way. You know, of course, you know, you can go all out with this stuff. But again, I'm just trying to keep it simple so that anyone can just make these cards. You just need paper, ink, and that's it. You know, this is the Regal Winter, and look at, I mean, it has dies that would be totally great to use with these sentiments, but I used this, you know, instead, and they look really awesome. One thing I did want to mention, these cards might not be the best cards to send in the mail. If you were to send in the mail, I'll show you, they do fit. However, so when if you put a piece of card stock or something in front, and you would always do that anyway, if you're going to send something in the mail, if you've got embellishments and stuff on it, so that you know, they don't get destroyed in the system, mailing system. So it does fit in an envelope, but I would highly, highly, highly recommend using non-machinable stamps. That means that this would not go through any mailing machines. And or I would also maybe use a bubble envelope. Those are just some of my suggestions. Or, you know, obviously if you're going to hand them to someone, that totally works. So I don't know. I hope you like them. I had fun making them. I was like, wow, this is actually a cool look. And I don't know, I've never seen it. Doesn't mean it's not been out there, but yeah, so I'm gonna go back up to my desktop. So I hope you like that idea. It's super easy. You don't need a lot of stuff, which I like. Yeah, so if you have any questions about some of the supplies I use, like what those designer series papers they are, just shoot me a message and I will look that up for you. Let me know which one's your favorite. If you like, give it a thumbs up or share so other people can see that too if you like this. But with that, I guess I will see you next week. And happy Halloween if you celebrate it. Have fun. Yeah, these nails are glow in the dark. They freaked me out last night when I woke up in the middle of the night to get some water. I was like, ah! I forgot that I had them on, so it was pretty funny. So with that, I will let you all go, and I hope you have a great week. And I'll talk to you soon. Take care.